The United States has deployed its advanced NMESIS missile system in the northern Philippines during the ongoing Balikatan military exercises close to Taiwan. Now, the drills involving multiple allied nations highlight growing regional cooperation as China responds with patrols in the contested waters.
Training out here in Batanes, it allows us a different environment than what we're normally allowed to operate in. So it gives us unique opportunities to actually utilize the system and train within our capabilities. And it offers experiences we don't normally get offered in our normal day-to-day training.
On Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, a U.S. Air Force C-130 cargo plane landed in Basco. It was carrying a missile launcher. Within hours, that launcher was rolling onto the runway of a tiny Philippine island province called Batanes. Batanes sits just 100 miles south of Taiwan. The weapon is called NMESIS. It can sink a warship 115 miles away. And the moment it touched the ground, the strategic map of Asia changed. This is the story of how a sleepy island of 20,000 fishermen and farmers became the most important piece of land on the Pacific front line. And why Beijing reacted within hours. The deployment was part of Balikatan 2026, the largest U.S.-Philippine military drill in the history of the alliance. NMESIS stands for Navy Marine Expeditionary Ship Interdiction System. It is a truck. On the back of that truck sits a missile launcher. The launcher fires naval strike missiles that can travel up to 185 kilometers, about 115 miles. The system was flown in by a single C-130. That detail matters, because it means the United States can now move ship-killing missiles to any island in the Philippines within hours, set them up on a runway or beachfront, and disappear them, again before anyone reacts.
So, with this being an autonomous vehicle, for us to be able to move it without actually being next to the vehicle itself, we utilize these cameras placed around the vehicle itself. That way we can see and operate it.
U.S. Staff Sergeant Darren Gibbs explained how it works on the ground. He told Reuters that the system needs no driver and no crew. The purpose of this system is for it to be fully autonomous, for us not to require a driver or passenger inside the vehicle itself. We will tell it where to go, and then we program what it needs to do. U.S. Staff Skeet. Darren Gibbs, Batanes, May 2nd, 2026. Set up the truck. Program the target. Walk away. The missile does the rest. Philippine Exercise Director Francisco Lorenzo confirmed that the deployment was a rehearsal, a practice run for the real thing. He told Reuters this was about testing whether the system could be moved into a remote location quickly, when need arises. Look at any map of Asia. Find Taiwan. Then look just below it. That narrow stretch of water between Taiwan and the Philippines is called the Luzon Strait. Inside it sits the Bashi Channel, one of the deepest and most strategic waterways in the world. If China ever moves against Taiwan, its navy and submarines must push through this channel to reach the open Pacific Ocean. If they cannot push through, they cannot fight on multiple fronts. They cannot resupply. They cannot escape. Batanes sits right at the southern entrance of that channel. And NMESIS, sitting in Basco, can now reach it. Security analyst Chester Cabalza, who runs the Manila think tank International Development and Security Cooperation, did not mince words when he spoke to Reuters. The NMESIS can spark a powder keg for Beijing, and asymmetric deterrence for Manila and Taipei in the Bashi Channel along the Luzon Strait. He added that Beijing now views Batanes as part of what he called the US-led encirclement of China. That is the strategic value of one missile truck on a runway. It does not need to fire. It just needs to exist. Its presence forces China to plan around it, every minute of every day.
I think this Balikatan demonstrates the growing alliance of allied nations to attain Indo-Pacific, to make Indo-Pacific open and free, wherein we can exercise freedom of navigation and we can adhere to the international law.
Now place this single deployment inside the bigger picture. Balikatan 2026 ran from April 20 to May 8. It pulled in 17,000 troops from 7 nations: the Philippines, the United States, Japan, Australia, Canada, France, and New Zealand. Another 17 countries sent observers. It was the largest version of the exercise ever held. But the real headline was Japan. For the first time in 80 years, Japanese combat troops stood on Philippine soil. The Japan Self-Defense Force sent 1,400 personnel. They fired Type 88 anti-ship missiles. They sank a decommissioned Philippine Navy minesweeper off the coast of northern Luzon. It was the first time Japan used that weapon in this exercise. And it was the first time Japanese forces fired live weapons in Southeast Asia since World War II. Philippine Military Chief General Romeo Bronner Jr. captured the weight of that moment in a single line. 81 years later, this is the first time we will have Japanese combat troops again on Philippine soil. Before, we were on opposite sides. This time, we find ourselves on the same side. Romeo Bronner Jr., U.S. Lieutenant General Christian Wortman, commander of the I Marine Expeditionary Force, made the alliance message direct at the opening ceremony. Despite the war in the Middle East, despite the political chaos in Washington, despite everything, regardless of the challenges elsewhere in the world, the United States' focus on the Indo-Pacific and our ironclad commitment to the Philippines remain unwavering. Gen. Christian Wortman, U.S. Marine Corps. So when the C-130 landed in Basco with NMESIS on board, it was not a single event. It was the headline act of the most significant signal Washington has sent to Beijing in years. China was watching everything, and China did not stay quiet. On April 20, the very same day Balikatan opened, China's aircraft carrier Liaoning began moving south through the Taiwan Strait. The timing was a deliberate signal. The carrier was photographed by Taiwanese forces still loaded with J-15 fighter jets. Then came the warships. The PLA Southern Theater Command announced that a 4-ship task force had deployed east of the Luzon Strait. It included a Type 055 destroyer, one of the most powerful surface warships China owns, alongside a Type 052D destroyer, a Type 054A frigate, and a support vessel. Beijing said it was responding to the current regional situation. Analysts at the American Enterprise Institute and the Institute for the Study of War called it for what it was: an information operation, a show of force, a reminder that China still believes it can break out through the first island chain when it wants to. But the most aggressive move was the quietest one. In April 2026, satellite images reviewed by Reuters showed Chinese vessels had installed a floating barrier at the mouth of Scarborough Shoal, a fishing reef well inside the Philippines' own exclusive economic zone. The barrier physically blocked Filipino fishermen from reaching their own waters. Days later, the PLA launched combat readiness patrols in the area, in direct response to Balikatan. The Foundation for Defense of Democracies described what is happening in plain terms. Beijing is using gray zone tactics, moves that fall just below the threshold of armed conflict, to push the boundary lines outward, one quiet step at a time. Translation: while the world watches Ukraine and the Middle East, China is squeezing the Philippines a little harder every week. There is one more layer to this story that most coverage misses, and it is the most human one. Tens of thousands of Filipinos work and live in Taiwan today. They are nurses, factory workers, domestic helpers, engineers. If a war breaks out over Taiwan, those people will need to come home, fast and under fire. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has been brutally honest about it. He has told reporters that a Taiwan conflict would drag the Philippines kicking and screaming into the conflict.
I'm not concerned at all on reduced deterrence. What I'm concerned about, which is a concern of all, are the supply chains and the price of petroleum and other essentials that pass through the Straits of Hormuz. That is a major concern of everyone.
And on April 28, 2026, Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro confirmed something to Reuters that should make every Filipino sit up. The government already has a contingency plan to evacuate Filipino nationals from Taiwan if conflict erupts. He gave no details about how. But the plan exists. The plan is being prepared. The plan is real. Step back and connect every thread. A USC-130 lands in Batanes, carrying a missile that can sink warships 115 miles away. Around it, 17,000 troops from 7 countries hold the largest joint drill in Asia's recent history. Japan returns to Philippine soil with live weapons for the first time in 80 years.
Right there! Right in front of me! I just shot him! Set it up! Thank you!
China responds with an aircraft carrier transit, a 4-ship destroyer task force, a floating barrier on a Philippine reef, and combat patrols within sight of Filipino fishermen. All of this happened in 3 weeks. This is not a normal exercise anymore. This is 2 sides quietly rehearsing a conflict that neither one wants, but both are increasingly preparing for.
Training out here in Batanes, it allows us a different environment than what we're normally allowed to operate in. So it gives us unique opportunities to actually utilize the system and train within our capabilities. And it offers experiences we don't normally get offered in our normal day-to-day training.
NMESIS will be packed up and flown home when Balikatan ends. But the message it left behind will not be packed up. The message stays. And the message is simple. The door to the Pacific now has a lock on it. The lock sits in Batanes. And the key is in Washington's hands. For now. So here is what I want from you. In the comments below, give me your honest answer to one question. Is the Philippines making the right call by hosting these missiles? Or is Manila walking into a war it cannot win? Drop your answer. Subscribe to Indo-Pacific Report for the deepest analysis of stories like this. Hit the bell so you do not miss the next one. And we will see you in the next breakdown.